Hello, everybody in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching our latest BPTV show. We're going to bring another by request with Jessica Lee Jazz and Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We're co-producing, co-hosting, and we're having our first guest, a good friend of both Jessica Lee and myself. Her name is Joanne Forrester, the Empress of Biz. So we're going to get this show going right off the bat. Jessica Lee, good evening, good afternoon to you. And how are you today?
Good afternoon to you, Al, Talking Machine, and Joanne. Good afternoon, Empress of Biz. It's so great to have you with us.
Well, I'm going to sip my obligatory tea.
So, Joanne, every time we get on the Zoom with Al, he sips his green tea. It's just a thing. So we had to get that out of the way.
Yes, to your health, sip by sip.
Sip by sip. And the second thing we always say is Joanne, you and I have talked many times during the coronavirus pandemic, and that people have been requesting songs because those messages and those melodies lift them up in different ways and mean different things to them with the messages of the lyric. And I was talking with Al last week, and we were just talking about you and what an inspiration you've been to me during the pandemic, as we've had many discussions. And you requested a particular song, which is one of my all-time favorites. And before we really go into exactly what that song is, it's one of the best known lift you up, comfort you with faith and hope and love songs. Talk a little bit with Al and with me about the coronavirus pandemic, how it hit you, and kind of some of the things that you've been going through personally that led you to make that song request from me.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for making that amazing rendition of Amazing Grace. And that has been a song that is from childhood has brought me comfort. And during the COVID crisis, I am still recovering from major surgery. I had last year, all at one time, I got Lyme disease, which activated Bell's palsy, which now we know I had a stroke with it at the same time. So I was rushed to the hospital. And then after doing all the x-rays and things that they do, they came in and they said, well, you're lucky. And I'm laying there thinking, I'm not feeling so lucky right now. And they said, we've discovered two problems. One, is making you really miserable now, but they won't kill you. The second one will, and it's not making you miserable. And what they basically found was my brain had an aneurysm, the type that would rupture and take you out. So they gave me a month or two to recover with a whole list of things of what to do and what not to do and what to rush to the hospital. And that's nerve-wracking. You have this list of symptoms. So on September 11th, and please don't anybody ever schedule surgery on September 11th. It's not a good day. I went in for surgery. They told my family, oh, it should take a couple hours. I'll tell you, I had one of those premonitions the week before. I didn't know if I was coming out of the surgery. Everybody was kind of poo-pooing me. I called my lawyer and I said, Jack, we need to update everything. And we actually had breakfast and he paid for it. So, whoa, that's together. I updated my papers and 2 days later, I was operated on. Long story short, during the surgery, the aneurysm ruptured. They came out and told my family they did not think I was going to make it. And if I did make it, they didn't know what kind of shape I was going to be in. I woke up a couple days later. I had prayed before I had gone to sleep. And I have this relationship with God where we have a little sense of humor every once in a while. And I listed all the people that I had lost and that had passed beyond. And I said to them and to God, I said, well, if you guys don't want me up there telling you what to do, you had better be in this room tonight. And that's the last thing I remember. 2 days later, I wake up and my son and his wife are there. And Rob starts to say, Mom, you've had a really tough time. And the first thing out of my mouth was, they didn't want me up there. They weren't ready for me. Rob,
you scared them. You scared them, Joanne.
So it began a long period of recovery. I got out of the hospital and out of rehab a lot faster than what everybody expected. And I've done very well, but it hasn't been easy. And a lot of therapy, a lot of prayer, a lot of just plain orneriness, just, but the song Amazing Grace has always brought me comfort. And when you and I started the dialogue back early, several months ago, and I saw you were doing the songs by request, I requested you give me that song. And to me, that song, you've been to hell, you've been back, you're here now. And so when you made that, we had like over 2,000 hits within 72 hours. People really liked it. And that was very appropriate. And I still play it. It gives me comfort. And I evidently gave a lot of people comfort. So again, I thank you. I face another test this coming week to make sure, well, the status, because the status is not as clean as we would like to be. So I can guarantee you that song, plus the other one we're going to talk about, is going to be playing. And I want them to play it in the operating room is what I want them to do.
Joanne, you're in my prayers twice a day now since you told me you're not as clean as you should be. And you're one of my heroes. You went in 2 days before I went in for my transplant surgery, and I've had great success. And you've done much better. You only had a 1 in 4 chance of living. So to me, to have 75% against you and having God and his personal conversation with you, he's not ready for you. That's how I got it.
I have my projects planned, and either they're going to happen here or up there. So I think they're going to happen here.
And well, that's why we have her on.
Al, we have to call out to everybody watching, prayer warriors, to really pray Joanne through this next time.
Yes.
And Joanne, you can count on me as well. I'll be singing and praying for you this week. And I want to just say, a word about that very special song, Amazing Grace. When I did it for you and just sat during this COVID quarantine period at the piano and sang it, I sang all the verses that were originally written. Mm-hmm. And that's rarely heard, all those verses. The first verse is the most well-known.
Yes.
And, I think the writer, Al, you may give us a little input on this because you probably have researched it. So the writer of the song, the lyrics would be?
As a side note, Jessica Lee appreciates my love of history and my curiosity. And she gave me some guidance after the last show. She goes, Al, I appreciate what you're doing, but maybe you want to check some Wikipedia instead of just YouTube. So I expanded my mind, went to Wikipedia, and the gentleman who wrote this was John Newton. Mm-hmm. He was a slave trader and was known as one of the most profane men on a pirate, slaver ship, which is terrible. And the captains hated him, the crew loved him, and he wrote hymns and stuff. Well, they almost died on board in a bad storm, a hurricane, and he prayed to God that he would change his life. And
if he survived.
Yes, he had to survive. That's it, Jess. I didn't want to get too wordy, but if he would survive. So he did it for a few more years later, got married and everything else. And he actually wrote this in 1772. And he collaborated with another guy named, let me get here, I got it in my notes, William Copen. He hooked up with him. He was a great writer, a lawyer, but he was bordering on insanity a lot of times and lost jobs, but he could write great hymns and was well known for it. And so he collaborated with them, and they published it in 1779. So you're talking about writing it in 1772 before our revolution. And this gentleman helped them, and they were over in England. And lo and behold, William Walker in 1847 wrote this, got the tune together, and put it with a song named New Britain, a melody called New Britain. And that's where the foundation of it is. And it caught on like wildfire throughout America. When he printed this, listen to this, 20 million people lived in America. 600,000 copies were bought in the first year. And the U.S. Congress has over 3,000 copies and different Amazing Grace songs. So it just blew my mind. There's 3,000 of them in the U.S. Congress.
So a big point, is that the gentleman who wrote the lyric was a pretty bad guy before he had this spiritual conversion after the storm, and he had talked to God and said, I'll change my life if you save my life. And later, Al, I understand that
yes,
he became a person who was very outspoken against slavery.
Yes, he actually became a clergyman. He became a clergyman. Yes.
So Joanne, do you have anything you want to add before we listen to your song, your version of the song?
I want to, because that's been a popular song, because of his efforts and other members of Parliament. Actually, slavery was outlawed in England, and that was
yes,
and that was
1807. 1807, it was outlawed.
Right. Yeah, that was also outlawed in 1807 in the United States too, in the northern part.
Okay.
So why don't we take a quick break? And here was the version that I just sat down at my piano and played and sang for Joanne, especially by request.
This is Jessica Lee by request. I'm stopping by Facebook Live for one song tonight. A special friend has asked me to sing the full lyric of a song that's a popular song, Amazing Grace. I've had 2 requests for this now. And John Newton wrote the full lyric a long, long time ago. He lived 1725 to 1807. But the meaning of the lyric is still relevant today. So I have a piano down below that you can't see. I only have a laptop computer to record on during these alone together days. So I will do the best that I can. And I send this out to my friends by request, Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. But now I'm found, Lord, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did thy grace, Lord, appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. Jesus' grace has brought me safe thus far, Lord, and grace will bring me home. The Lord has promised good to me. His word, my hope secures. He will my shield and my portion be, as long as life endures. Yes, when this flesh and heart shall fail, and mortal life shall cease, I will possess within that veil the life of joy, a life of peace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow. The sun forbear to shine, but God who called me below, He will be now forever, ever and ever mine. When we've been there now 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. I've known last days to sing God's praise. Now when I first I'm found. I was not moved, but now I see.
It just warmed my heart when I heard you online do it on Facebook Live. Thanks to Joanne and you both doing that. It inspired me also. It's a great song that I found the history out of it because of Jess. So me being a history guy, that was amazing. And it truly is. And we're going to carry on with our next song. Joanne, do you want to tell us how you come up with this next by request and tell us the song?
Well, one of my motivating songs has always been I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar by Helen Reddy, who unfortunately just passed.
Yes, very sad.
And through different challenges in my life, personal and what I have done working with women, that's been an anthem for me. And I guess I needed some motivation. I was in a mood to I was in a mood and I needed some courage. So let's just leave it at there. I asked Jessica to make a song for the group that I'm involved, the Pennsylvania Women's Hall of Achievement, that I'm the president of, and it is I Am Woman. And she made this marvelous version, and we are using that. We will be using that on our website. Our goal is to highlight women in history who have made a major contribution. And one of the things that people don't recognize is how much women in Pennsylvania have made a difference in history, not only in our region and our state, but actually in nation. And we have been putting a calendar out. This will be the third year on highlighting women past and present who have made contributions to our region, state, and nation, and in a few cases to the world. So I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, Hear My Voice is very appropriate. And again, to many women, that's been our anthem. We have held on to that through thick or thin. And again, thank you, Jessica, for taking that spirit.
Well, hey, Joanne, the name of your nonprofit again, say that again for us slowly.
Okay, Pennsylvania Women's Hall of Achievement.
And people can Google that, Joanne, and they'll find a website, and you're on Facebook as well, right?
Yes, we're on Facebook. They'll find it on, when they Google it, they will also find it on the net. I often post on Facebook events about for women who in our region are doing things. And every once in a while, I throw in some national things. But we're highlighting women's history. You're actually going to be focused on our 2021 calendar featured. You and Maxine Sullivan.
Maxine Sullivan, the great singer from Pittsburgh. But Joanne, talk to us specifically now with Al and myself about what is so special about 2020. And how does that tie into what your nonprofit is doing virtually this year?
Yeah. 2020 is the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. It only took our nation from 1776 to 1920 to give us the right to vote. And we are honoring that. And unfortunately, because of COVID, many of these celebrations, which I know you were scheduled to be involved in, were canceled. So we have proceeded. And one of our things that have been doing is making short videos about the history of women, not only nationally, but the women here who have made an impact. And we will continue to do that and find ways virtually to celebrate women. And then, God willing, the creek don't rise, and we're hoping next March, we can have a major celebration. But I don't want our stories to be lost. And as difficult as this time is right now, for many reasons, what those women went through to get the right to vote. They were extremely brave, courageous. They had families turning against families, husbands literally throwing their wives out, disassociating themselves from children. It was bad. And those women persevered. So we celebrate and salute them.
Yeah. Al, I think sometimes we forget the level of violence and what these women went through to win that right to vote. I think that this year, as you said, Joanne, there were to be many, many events and performances and celebrations around this 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote. Al, I know you would have been out there at a lot of those celebrations,
Yes.
but instead we're going to have to be virtual. Yeah, yes. Go ahead, Al.
Yes, I did see one at the Heinz History Center, and I saw Jessica Lee's mom there. And that was a great rendition of Susan B. Anthony. And it was a great women's event. I'm pro-women. I had a great mother who passed too early, 3 sisters, and a daughter. So I've worked with ladies like Joanne Forrester, Mary Pam, and JQS with Hugathon Pittsburgh. And they can tell you, even though I'm a strong, forward type of guy, I listened to what they told me. And I tried to do the best that I could. I share that with you proudly. So I'm honored that both of you, Jess performing the song, it was great, in advance of listening to it. And it was a great suggestion because I know how things pump you up, Joanne. And I believe this took you to the next level. So I appreciate that. And I hope this is inspiring to everybody else. Don't forget to tip the cats on Jessica Lee Jazz. And don't forget to buy those great calendars of these famous women you don't even know about. So check that out from Joanne. I got a PR something. So get those calendars and tip the cats.
And now, before we go to the song, I'd just like to say that, Joanne, you mentioned Maxine Sullivan, who was from Pittsburgh and Homestead neighborhood, and was one of the very early jazz vocalists to swing songs that were folk songs and not jazz songs. And she put the ing and swing and influenced Ella Fitzgerald and many others. And so it's such an honor that you're going to have her on the 2021 calendar as an innovator, and that I'll join her in that calendar. And right before COVID hit, the last show that we did was in honor of her at the Carnegie Music Hall in Carnegie. So, here's your I Am Woman rendition for you. And I just want to take my hat off to you about everything that you've done and continue to do to honor women and to inspire and encourage women and lift them up. It's really wonderful work. Thank you.
I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore. And I know too much to go back to pretend. 'Cause I've heard it all before, and I've been down there on the floor. And no one's ever gonna keep me down again. Oh, yes, I am wise, but it's wisdom born of pain. Yes, I paid the price, but look how much I gained. If I have to, I can do anything. I am strong, I am invincible, I am woman. You can bend but never break me, 'cause it only serves to make me more determined to achieve my final goal. And I come back even stronger, not a novice any longer, 'cause you've deepened the conviction in my soul. Oh, yes, I am wise, but it's wisdom born of pain. Yes, I paid the price, but look how much I gained. If I have to, I can do anything. I am strong, I am invincible, I am woman. I am woman, watch me grow, see me standing toe to toe, as I spread my loving arms across the land. But I'm still an embryo with a long, long way to go, until I make my brothers understand. Oh, yes, I am wise, but it's wisdom on a pay. Yes, I pay the price, but look how much I gain. If I have to, I can do anything. I am strong, I am invincible, I am woman.
Great song. Thanks for the inspiration again, Jessica Lee and Joanne. I appreciate it. We'd like to close this out with one of my heroes here, Joanne Forrester. With all the things that she has going on, please give us a list of a few things that we can focus on, Joanne.
Well, first of all, make sure that you go to our Facebook page, Pennsylvania Women's Hall of Achievement, and like that and browse around, because we will have, and we already have, short videos on women's history. Also go to our website, and we will be putting longer videos on there. In fact, we already have them, and a brief history of the great, phenomenal things women have done. And that history is not taught in schools, and it's about time it's taught. So that's what we're working at.
Joanne, thank you for that. Just repeat your website slowly one more time, because we're trying to keep people's attention here.
Pennsylvania Women's Hall of Achievement.org.
Thank you very much. And to all of you out there, thank you for listening and watching another By Request, co-hosted by Jessica Lee and Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Don't forget to go to her website, jessicaleejazz.com. Tip the cats, because musicians are struggling right now, and it helps us defray any costs that we do incur. So again, thank you for your donation in advance.
Keep the requests coming. Song requests. It's nice to be with everybody by request. Thanks, Al. Thanks, Joanne.
You're welcome.